everyone, welcome to the video. I think it's important to do some retracing of our steps right back to the beginning, and in this case I'm going to go over Agenda 21, the PDF, which is 351 pages. And I just want to have a look at the biotechnology. I mean, I haven't looked through it. I have seen it years ago, but I think it's important to keep on looking through these things. Obviously, the Agenda 21 is, it covers everything from land, immigration, energy resources, all those sorts of things. So what I had forgotten, or maybe didn't acknowledge, was biotechnology, and we're at that stage now. So we'll have a look at this. This was written in this tabletop, and I'm going to do a whole load of tabletop exercises. Have a look at them. This is what it says anyway about the biotechnology. Biotechnology is the integration of the new techniques emerging from modern biotechnology with the well-established approaches of traditional biotechnology. Biotechnology, an emerging knowledge intensive field, is a set of enabling techniques for bringing about specific man-made changes in DNA or genetic material in plants, animals and microbial systems, leading to useful products and technologies. This is very interesting because in the conspiracy realm you hear a lot about the 7 Noahide laws, but actually there's 30. I'll leave a link for this as well, and tree grafting is one of them which is forbidden, as well as interfering with homosexual marriages and things like that. Tree grafting is one of them, and if you consider that, this is what they're saying, really. They're talking about grafting human beings, really, in some ways. By itself, biotechnology cannot resolve all the fundamental problems of environment and development, so expectations need to be tempered by realism. Nevertheless, it promises to make a significant contribution in enabling the development of, for example, better healthcare, enhanced food security through sustainable agricultural practices, and that would include tree grafting. And that's something that I wanted to do. I didn't really see any kind of fault with it. Improved supplies of potable water, more efficient industrial development processes for transforming raw materials, support for sustainable method of afforestation and reforestation, and detoxification of hazardous wastes. Biotechnology also offers new opportunities for global partnerships, especially between the countries rich in biological resources, which include genetic resources, but lacking the expertise and investments needed to apply other resources through biotechnology. And the countries that have developed the technological expertise to transform biological resources so that they serve the needs of sustainable development. Bloody hell. The programme areas set out below seek to foster internationally agreed principles to be applied to ensure the environmentally sound management of biotechnology, to engender public trust and confidence, to promote the development of sustainable applications of biotechnology, and to establish appropriate enabling mechanisms, especially within developing countries, through the following activities: increasing the availability of food, feed and renewable raw materials, improving human health, enhancing protection of the environment, enhancing safety and developing international mechanisms for cooperation, and establishing enabling mechanisms for the development and the environmentally sound application of biotechnology. Now you read all of that, but that's not something you want in your body, so they have to do these further tabletop exercises, I guess, to find the right route of ensuring that they bung this stuff in people. I'll just have a look for the 30 Noahide laws. So these are presumably forbidden: idolatry, passing a child through fire in the worship of Moloch, stick divination, witchcraft sorcery is supposed to be pharmakia, which is pharmaceuticals, be fruitful, multiply seed. Oh, crossbreeding of animals. So that's where you see this whole, you know, genetically modified injections would be or possibly considered crossbreeding. Castration, well, you've got that going on, because if you think about the surgeries which are going on at the moment with the cancer scare, a lot of people are having their wombs, ovaries removed, they're having their breasts removed, and then you've got transgender with their you know, men removing their penis, grafting trees, you see. And this kind of stuff here would be about the DNA, the biogenetic DNA stuff. So we'll go back to that. I'll leave the 2 links in the description. If I forget, hopefully you've had a look at the thing in the top here. You can see the links. Increasing the availability of food, feed and renewable raw materials. To meet the growing consumption needs of the global population, the challenge is not only to increase food supply but also to improve food distribution significantly while simultaneously developing more sustainable agricultural systems. Much of this increased productivity will need to take place in developing countries. It will require the successful and environmentally safe application of biotechnology in agriculture, in the environment and in human health care. It seems to me what's happening is they are going to house everyone in the smallest continents and countries, while they're going to take over the largest land mass for all of these sorts of you know, claims of wonder that they're going to do. It will require the successful and environmentally safe application of biotechnology in agriculture, in the environment and in human health care. Most of the investment in modern biotechnology has been in the industrialized world. Significant new investments and human resource development will be required in biotechnology, especially in the developing world. So what I would imagine is that things like cloning and tree grafting, all those sorts of things, are classed as biotechnology. which makes sense. Obviously you've got the claim that Dolly the sheep was cloned. I mean, they picked the most similar looking animal. When it's reproduced, they all look pretty much the same, white clouds on legs. So I mean, whether that did happen, I don't know. The claim is that it did. Right, okay, something about hybrid there. The following objectives are proposed, keeping in mind the need to promote the use of appropriate safety measures based on programme area D. To increase the optimum possible extent the yield of major crops, livestock, aquaculture species by using the combined resource of modern biotechnology and conventional plant, animal, microorganism improvement, including the more diverse use of genetic material resources, both hybrid and original. Forest product yields should similarly be increased to ensure the sustainable use of forests. To reduce the need for volume increases of food, so that would require depopulation or tampering with appetite, I would imagine. Feed and raw materials by improving the nutritional value composition of the source crops, animals and microorganisms, and to reduce post-harvest losses of plant and animal products. I suppose the only way you can reduce the post-harvest losses is to no longer harvest, isn't it? Then you don't get any losses. To increase the use of integrated pest, disease and crop management techniques to eliminate overdependence on agrochemicals, thereby encouraging environmentally sustainable agricultural practices. Now I wonder if Agenda 21 started as immediate effect, because it's been a few decades now and some people are saying that they're seeing less bees. It's said that there's less bees. And how has Agenda 21 over the last few decades managed to deal with that? Because obviously since that's happened there's been a decline, there's not been an incline. To evaluate the agricultural potential of marginal lands in comparison with other potential uses, and to develop, where appropriate, systems allowing for sustainable productivity increases. To expand the applications of biotechnology in forestry, both for increasing yields and more efficient utilisation of forest products, and for improving afforestation and reforestation techniques. Effort should be concentrated on species and products that are grown in and are of value, particularly for developing countries. I wonder if there's some sort of technique they're using to encourage the insects, which are like the bees and everything, over to other continents so that they no longer come here. Obviously there's this whole thing about chemtrails. I don't know what's in the chemtrails and I don't want to speculate, because then if you're wrong then you become unreliable. But obviously the chemtrails do leave lasting clouds and mists within the sky, which then also causes the environment to go cold, which will then see that a lot of our insects may migrate over elsewhere. So is that about deterring the insects from these countries so that they migrate over to the larger land masses where they're going to do all the food sources? It could be, I don't know. I don't know that it's it's probably poisoning us, but I think what they're thinking is just shift them over to another part of the world, and they're not actually thinking about the consequences, because they're so blinkered, these people. To increase the efficiency of nitrogen fixation and mineral absorption by the symbiosis of higher plants with microorganisms. To improve capabilities in basic and applied science and in the management of complex interdisciplinary research projects. The activities. Governments at the appropriate level, with the assistance of international and regional organisations and with the support of non-governmental organisations, the private sector and academic and scientific institutions should improve both plant and animal breeding and microorganisms through the use of traditional and modern biotechnologies to enhance sustainable agricultural output to achieve food security, particularly in developing countries, with due regard to the prior identification of desired characteristics before modification, taking into account the needs of farmers, the socio-economic, cultural and environmental impacts of modifications, and the need to promote sustainable social and economic development, paying particular attention to how the use of biotechnology will impact on the maintenance of the environmental integrity. I mean, who talks like that with no... I mean, you've got to think about who's writing this stuff when they write. They must be so drab as well. Just the sheer way they write this stuff, it makes it inaccessible for most people. It does. It's excludes everybody for the most part because of the way that they write this stuff, and that's intentional. This is a bit that I wanted to look at. The private sector and academic and scientific institutions should improve both plant and animal breeding and microorganisms through the use of traditional and modern biotechnologies to enhance sustainable agricultural output to achieve food security, particularly in developing countries. So again, this is sort of the way it says, particularly in developing countries. I'll be shifting everyone into the centre in Europe, and then they're going to be in the developing countries. They're all moving out to there, and then they're going to have their concentrated food production, which will be, an absolute delight while they're feeding us insects. I don't know, but of course they don't have the right to rule over us in this one world government kind of system. Improved productivity, nutritional quality and shelf life of food and animal feed products, with efforts including work on pre and post harvest losses. So basically they're tampering with the food supply, which is, back to that Noahide laws. Because I wasn't really understanding what the problem with the Noahide laws were as such, especially since Christianity does stem from Judaism. But what I will say is that a lot of this stuff from here, it's been brought back in. So when you think about the Pharisees in the time of Jesus, then I think that that's who's dealing with this. This is a very long document. I think what I'm going to have to do is download it and then go through it. Financing has estimated the average annual cost to be about 5 billion, including the 50 million from the international community on grant. Scientific and technological means. Right, here we go. Improving human health. Let's see. The improvement of human health is one of the most important objectives of development. The deterioration of environmental quality, notably air, something that they've done themselves, water and soil pollution owing to toxic chemicals, hazardous wastes, radiation and other sources is a matter of growing concern. This degradation of the environment resulting from inadequate or inappropriate developments has a direct negative effect on human health. Malnutrition, poverty, poor human settlements, lack of good quality potable water and inadequate sanitation facilities add to the problem of communicable and non-communicable diseases. As a consequence, the health and well-being of people are exposed to increasing pressures, and yet we're still surviving. So that tells you something about the immune system. Objectives. The main objective of this program area is to contribute through the environmentally sound application of biotechnology to an overall health program. Presumably that means overall over the world. Reinforce or inaugurate as a matter of urgency programs to help combat major communicable diseases. So that's your flu, HPV, all these vaccines that you get. My first seizure that I had was when I was 13, and in the UK there's a sort of triple booster that you go through in school at that age. Although I was told that it was some kind of issue that came from pregnancy that caused my seizures, I noticed with the injection period that we just had with lockdown and COVID, I noticed that a lot of people who were dying soon afterwards had started having seizures when they were 13 years old. Now, I'd been told by my doctors that it was really rare for people to have seizures, start having seizures when they were 13. But I think that's because not everyone reacts so badly to the booster ones, which I must have done. And so there were quite a few people who I saw die immediately after those injections. And thank goodness I didn't take them. Right, promote good health among people of all ages. Develop and improve programs to assist in specific treatment of and protection from major non-communicable diseases. So specific treatment. That's something that they're sort of talking about with cancer at the moment, isn't it? They're saying, oh, we've got vaccines for specific people with their specific cancer and we can protect you from it. It's interesting reading this 30 years on, actually. Develop and strengthen appropriate safety procedures based on Programme Area D, taking account of ethical considerations. I wonder what Area D is. Create enhanced capabilities for carrying out basic and applied research and for managing interdisciplinary research. Activities. Let's have a look at this. This makes me think of the tabletop exercises that they do. Governments at the appropriate level, with the assistance of international regional organisations, academics, science institutions, big pharma, should, taking into account of appropriate safety and ethical considerations, like you do, develop national and international programs for identifying and targeting those populations of the world most in need of improvement in general health and protection from diseases. Identify and target. Develop criteria for evaluating the effectiveness and the benefits and risks of the proposed activities. Establish and enforce screening. Well, we've got that going. Systematic sampling and evaluation procedures for drugs and medical technologies with a view of barring the use of those that are unsafe for the purposes of experimentation. Ensure that drugs and technologies relating to reproductive health are safe and effective and take account of ethical considerations. What are their ethical considerations? I'll have to see if they've got that written in now in this document, because they keep repeating ethical considerations, but they don't really, I don't know what their ethical considerations means, because theirs might be different to mine. And I do know that Science Today, they're safe and effective, which we see up here, safety, safe and effective, is very different to my understanding of it. And again, this was 30 years ago, 33 years ago. How interesting. View to barring those unsafe for the purposes of experimentation. Anyway, improve systematically, sample and evaluate drinking water quality by introducing appropriate specific measures, including diagnosis of waterborne pathogens and pollutants. I actually use a water filter because I don't know what they're putting in there at the moment. And I think they're just, from my perspective, it feels as if they're just buying any old drug, any old chemical and bunging it in and just seeing how it goes, because we're all just an experiment at this stage. But we've got to take into account the ethical considerations. Develop and make widely available new and improved vaccines, against major communicable diseases that are efficient and safe and offer protection with a minimum number of doses, including intensifying efforts directed at the vaccines needed to combat common diseases in children. You know, when COVID happened, and there was just this CCTV image of a few people dropping dead, and then they said, "Oh, this is COVID. This is a brand new disease called COVID." I thought, well, how do you know that it wasn't just a heart attack? Like, why was it this brand new disease? I'm not getting that. Yeah, they are funny, aren't they? So they want to do, including intensifying efforts directed at the vaccines, common diseases of children. And then earlier on they were talking about reproduction. Develop biodegradable delivery systems for vaccines that eliminate the need for present multiple dose schedules. Facilitate better coverage of the population and reduce the costs of immunisation. So maybe what's happening, I don't know if you've noticed, some of the doctors are talking about this self-assembling nanobot stuff. Now, I don't know that I am fully buying all of this. I'm not sure whether they are making claims that they have all this technological advancement so as to scare us and cause fear within us, so that we are frightened of trying to go our own way, or whether they actually do have this ability. Because, you know, some of the people are saying, oh, well, they've got these micro drones which can shoot you and kill you, and they just look the size of a beetle or something. And so, you know, people might be thinking, oh no, they've got these little miniature drones that are gonna, and we're targeted individuals. And I don't know, I'm just living my life as if, like, I'm not buying it because it's come from the screen. But I'm interested in their claims. I think they're interesting, and I take it with a pinch of salt. I follow alternative media with a pinch of salt, But I'm not going to be, while they're saying and admitting that they want to sort of do all this vaccine drive, because I don't want to participate in their type of society, then I just think to myself, right, okay, well, I'll stay away from drinking water, or I'll filter it. I'll stay away as best I can from the injections that they do. I'll try and stay away from the land stuff that they're doing. And that's how I'm sort of living my life. I'm not really too focused on their claims and of their abilities, because I just don't know. Because from my perspective, it could just be that they've got slow kill poisons in these vaccines, and there's actually no nano robot stuff going on at all. But then when I'm looking at this, eliminate the need for multi-dose schedules. If there is sort of like a nanobot thing growing, then maybe that is the intention of preventing multi-doses, because it's sort of injected into you and it builds within you. I don't know. But having said that, just a slow kill will achieve all of that, and at a lower cost. Develop effective biological control agents against disease transmitting vectors such as mosquitoes and resistant variants, taking account of environmental protection considerations, ethical considerations. Okay, so this is one of those things which we've heard about. Whether they've achieved it, I don't know. I think they've tampered with this kind of stuff in India. There's a lot of complaints coming from India to do with the Gates guy. Using the tools provided by modern biotechnology, develop inter alia improved diagnostics, new drugs, like we need that, and improved treatments and delivery systems. Develop the improvement and more effective utilization of medicinal plants. That's been going on for quite a bit, for the past decade, I think, and other related sources. What I think they're going to do there is, I think they are aware that there's going to be people like us who are going to turn away from their system of vaccines. So what they want to do is capture that market as well. And I see that, I see a lot of the alternative media selling a whole load of these supplements and stuff. And although, I used to take supplements, I don't take anything now. I do harvest some elderberries for elderberry syrup at this time of the year. Not today, it's too wet. But I do get some of that, make some elderberry syrup for the year ahead. And here we just take some of that each day, or particularly when we have a cold or sickness and we're better. So it's not that we need to even buy supplements, I've realised, and the elderberry syrup is absolutely free, so that's what I've been doing anyway. But that's a way of avoiding their control over the supplements, if that's what's going on, because of medicinal plants as well, like the marijuana, that will be under their control, and who knows what sort of agents they're putting into that. Develop processes to increase the availability of materials derived from biotechnology for use in improving human health. The following activities should be undertaken. Research and assess the comparative social, environmental and financial costs and benefits of different technologies for basic and productive healthcare within a framework of universal safety and ethical considerations. Development of public education programs, right, so indoctrination directed at decision makers and the general public to encourage awareness and understanding of the relative benefits and risks of modern biotechnology, directed at decision makers and the general public to encourage awareness, not provide awareness, encourage. They should provide it to these people if they're going to say you need to take it, not encourage it. You can do your own research if you'd like, but it's unadvised that you go through these unauthorised routes of research and discovery, that kind of thing, isn't it, that they say. International and regional cooperation and coordination with the support of relevant international and regional organisations should develop and strengthen appropriate safety procedures based on Programme Area D. Gonna have to find out what Area D is. Taking into consideration ethical considerations. Support the development of national programmes, particularly in developing countries, for improvements in general health, especially protection from major communicable diseases, common diseases of children and disease transmitting factors. See, I think that what might be happening as well is that they are encouraging a whole load of immigrants over to developed countries, so that I think they're having difficulty vaccinating people in these developing countries. So if they get some of those people to come over here and, you know, really enjoy life over here and report back positively, it sort of starts to westernize the developing countries, and then they'll start getting into the whole vaccine thing and the whole modern health. And I'm wondering if that's an element, because I don't think it's just, I think there's so many layers and reasons as to why they're bringing these immigrants over en masse, especially from developing countries. Means of implementation. To achieve the above goals, the activities need to be implemented with urgency if progress towards the control of major communicable diseases is to be achieved by the beginning of the next century. So this was in 1992. So yeah, we're kind of, I suppose when they're talking about the beginning, I don't think they, oh here, 1993 to 2000. The spread of some diseases to all regions of the world calls for global measures. For more localized diseases, regional and national policies will need to be more appropriate. The goals call for continuous international commitment. Whoa. So that's all the developing countries. National priorities with a defined time frame. So that's where Agenda 2030 comes in, isn't it? Scientific and financial input at global and national levels. Right, scientific and technological means well coordinated multidisciplinary efforts involving cooperation between scientists, financial institutions and industries will be required. Research and development support will also need to be strengthened together with mechanisms for providing the transfer of relevant technology. Basis for action. Environmental protection is an integral component of sustainable development. The environment is threatened in all its biotic and abiotic components. God, they're optimists, aren't they? Which form the physical components of habitats and ecosystems, and all the interactions between the components of biodiversity and their sustaining habitats. With the continued increase in the use of chemicals, energy and non-renewable resources by an expanding global population, associated environmental problems will also increase. So you need to resolve the environmental problems by resolving the expanding global population, I guess. Despite increasing efforts to prevent waste accumulation and to promote recycling, the amount of environmental damage caused by overconsumption, the quantities of waste generated and the degree of unsustainable land use appear likely to continue to grow. I mean, they're using up all of our land for housing where I live. The need for a diverse genetic pool of plant, animal and microbial germs plasm for sustainable development is well established. The aim of this programme is to prevent, halt and reverse environmental degradation through the appropriate use of biotechnology in conjunction with other technologies while supporting safety procedures as an integral component of the programme. So they're talking about the environment. It's declining because of increased population, but then they're saying that they want to help human, and that doesn't make sense. That's not what they're saying. But we already know this, but I just wanted to go through this. And there might be some people who don't know about it or who have forgotten about it. And they keep talking about ethical. Be ethical about it. Yeah. Okay. Develop processes to reduce waste generation. Treat waste. Yeah, so they've got us doing all this sort of... I mean, there's a lot of people who do this recycling stuff. You know, I know people who scrub up their rubbish to get little crumbs off it to then put it in the bin. Okay. They're just repeating everything, really. Yeah, this is a very long video and a lot of people know all about this, but I just thought I would go over it again because I want to look at where it started. Where did this all begin? Some activities at the national, regional and global levels already address the issues outlined in programme areas A, B, C and D. So that was all talked about. This, what we're going through now, and we do know that, but a lot of people don't still. There's a lot of people with their heads in the sand still. I was talking to some people about how we've also got this grand solar minimum, and then that gets me thinking, you know, because we saw snow for the first time in 2015, and I was told that my children wouldn't see snow, and then suddenly they were. So I wanted to try and what's this? Protecting vulnerable groups. I wanted to see what was said about that. Science, technology, educate health and research institutions should be strengthened to provide support to improve the health of vulnerable groups. You want to improve their health, but you're concerned about the environmental effects of them. Is this it? D. Hundreds of millions of people for poor living conditions in urban and peri-urban areas are destroying lives, health and social moral values. Urban growth has outstripped society's capacity to meet human needs, leaving hundreds of millions of people with inadequate incomes, diets, housing and services. Well, that's getting even worse if you think about it, because when you try and make complaints to these people, they do force you to use apps. Like, you'll have to complain through Facebook or Twitter with some of these businesses and services. They don't actually provide you with email, so it's even getting worse at this point. All too often urban development is associated with destructive effects on the physical environment. Environmental pollution in urban areas is associated with excess morbidity and mortality. Overcrowding and inadequate housing contribute to respiratory diseases, as does vaccines. Sorry, it doesn't say that. It says tuberculosis, meningitis and other diseases. In urban environments, many factors that affect human health are outside the human sector, or the health sector. The health sector. Improvements in urban health, therefore, will depend on coordinated action. Healthcare providers, governments, businesses, religious groups, social and educational institutions, and citizens. Because they've brought the citizens into it, because then that's the peer pressure, isn't it? Yeah, Agenda 2030, I guess, is when they're expecting it to be full throw at that point. The brakes have fallen off the car, kind of thing. This is very sad. This is very, very sad, what's going on. And it's so sad that people believe in their abilities with these technologies, and I'm not sure that I do. Because we're seeing so much going on with a lot of what they say, hearsay and everything. We're so capable of this, we're so capable of that. And I'm also seeing a lot of famous stars getting cancer. Some of them are dying, but also they're all demanding that people go and get tested. And then once you get tested, if something comes about and it says, oh yeah, you've got cancer, then what's recommended? To get that chemical therapy. And then I believe that chemical therapy is what is killing people. I don't think it's the cancer. But then again, one friend said that their grandparent was diagnosed with cancer. They did nothing. They didn't get any treatment whatsoever, and they died about 3 years later, which is about the same amount of time that my sister died when she did get chemotherapy. But then she did improve massively when she went on supplements. So I do think there's a place for supplements, especially when you're very ill with that kind of thing, and looking into those as alternative treatments. What a sad place we are in right now. I'm going to look at other tabletop exercises in the coming videos. This was the first one because it was done in 1993. The next one I think was Dark Winter or something like that in 2001. So I'm going to look into that one as well in the next video. And I'll try and keep it shorter because I think, an hour is quite a long one. But I just wanted to go through some of it. I'll leave a link. I may come back to this again in the future because I've got all sorts of different things. Deforestation, environmental, biological diversity. We've done biotechnology. It's probably best that you do look through this stuff again and keep looking through it. I hope you found the video helpful. Please like, subscribe and share the video. That would be great. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one when we talk about the other tabletop thing. Bye.